والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Can you all hear me? I'm not too sure if this mic is working.
Yeah, we're hearing.
Okay, mashallah. Alright, so alhamdulillah, all praises due to Allah. We praise Him and we thank Him that we can have a class again today. Inshallah ta'ala, today we want to start the next chapter, which is Ad-Darsu Sadisu, Ad-Darsu Sadisu, chapter number 6. Before we get into chapter number 6, as we normally would do, we'll do a quick recap of previous lesson. We do a quick recap of the previous lesson, and we had a few items of homework. Inshallah, we would ask if anybody has done that homework. But before we go back to the recap, anybody has any questions? Any questions on what we have done before, last week or previous weeks? All right, so if there are no questions, we're going to quickly go back over the lesson before. Just spend 5 minutes and do that, and then we'll go into the new lesson. All right? So in Darsul Khamis, the 5th lesson, we had that conversation between the teacher and some of the students. All right? When he asked them who opened the window, who opened the door, who broke the desk, and so on. All right? So basically, in this lesson, as we said last week, we have been introduced or further exposed to the past tense verb. All right? And we're looking at some of the conjugations, which is the you did something, I did something. Right? So, like for example, katabta, katabtu, kataba, fataha, fatahat, and so on. Right? So we saw the past tense verb be conjugated in a few of these several ways that it can be conjugated. Right? We also saw, well, in the textbook here, they recap the basic structure of a verbal sentence. Okay, we said in Arabic there are two types of sentences, Jumlatul Ismiya and Jumlatul Fi'liya. Jumlatul Ismiya begins with a ism, which is a noun, and Jumlatul Fi'liya begins with a fi'l, which is a verb. All right, so we saw here that they broke down for us on page number 32, Safha Ithnan wa Thalathun. All right, the components of the Jumlatul Fi'liya. So we said Jumlatul Fi'liya, you have the fi'l, al-fi'l, then you have al-fa'il, and then you have al-maf'ul bihi. So fi'l, fa'il, maf'ul bihi. The verb, doer of the verb, and the object. All right? So in English terms, you would say verb, subject, and object. All right? We also saw how we can change around Jumlatul Ismiya that has a verb in it, change around the verb and make it into a Jumlatul Fi'liya. So you from a nominal sentence to a verbal sentence. And we saw that in a question or exercise 7 and exercise 8. All right, just to quickly recap. Exercise 7, we have الطلاب ذهبوا إلى الملعب. The students, plural, ذهبوا إلى الملعب. So we are on صفحة 33, the end of page 33 and doing number 7. We're just recapping number 7. Okay, so we have the sentence At-tulabu dhahabu ila al-mal'ab. The students went to the playground. Right? We said if we switch it around and we bring the verb in the beginning, right, we get the same meaning, right? But it now becomes what we call a verbal sentence, all right, or jumlatul fi'liya. Now, just a side note here, even though it's the same meaning and you can translate it the same manner, by bringing one before the other, it does have a difference in emphasis, right? Emphasis. So the first one, in this example here, if you are watching in the books, on page 33, the first sentence, At-tullabu dhahabu ila al-mal'ab. So it's a jumlatul ismiya or a nominal sentence, begins with a noun, right? At-tullab, the students, dhahabu ila al-mal'ab. When you change it around and you put dhahaba at-tullabu ila al-mal'abi, is the same meaning. The students went to the playground. All right. However, when we bring the verb first, it places more emphasis on the action. All right. Whereas the first sentence, at-tullabu dhahabu ila al-mal'ab, the students went to the playground. It places more emphasis on the students. Okay? So in this manner, the Arabic language using the same, basically the same sentence, but how you express it and how you choose to, which one you choose to start the sentence with shows a greater emphasis for that particular word. Right? So in the first one, at-tullabu dhahabu ila al-mal'ab, the students went to the playground. The emphasis here is the students. Right? For example, you might want to ask, somebody might ask, well, you know, some people went to the playground, right? Somebody saw some people going to the playground. Not sure who it was. Was it teachers? Was it some strangers? Was it the students? So then the person replying now might say, At-tullabu dhahabu ila malak. The students went to the playground. So the emphasis here is on the students, right? Whereas the other way, where you say dhahaba at-tullabu ila al-mal'ab, right? They might, the question might be asked, okay, where are the students? So, right? So then the person might reply dhahaba at-tullabu ila al-mal'ab. So here the emphasis is on the action. Exactly what were the students doing or what did they do? They went to the mal'ab. So the emphasis here is on the action, right? So in this manner, the same sentence, by switching around the verb or the noun, places more emphasis on one part of the sentence than other parts. All right? So it does have some benefit in doing that, switching it around. It's not just how you feel, but rather it does have some faida and some benefits. Right? So the next exercise we went through last week was number 8 and 9 and 10, right? So number 8, we did it orally. I believe that we were supposed to try it, try writing it, right? Anybody got through with that? Anybody attempted it? Number 8? All right, so I think it's pretty straightforward. Nobody volunteering right now, so you just go through it very quickly. Al-awladu sharibu al-qahwata. Shariba al-awladu al-qahwata. So we basically here is a very simple exercise where we switch the verb and bring it to the front. And we have to remember If we start the sentence with the verb, then we use the singular form of the verb. It just has to agree with the subject in the gender, right? الأولاد شربوا القهوة. شرب الأولاد القهوة. الناس سمعوا الأذان. سمع الناس الأذان. الطلاب كتبوا الأجوبة. كتب الطلاب الأجوبة. الطالبات دخلنا الفصل. And then we change it around, we say دخلت الطالبات الفصل. Right, so this here is feminine, number 4. So we wouldn't say dakhala, we would say dakhalat. It has to be feminine, but we still keep it singular once the verb is coming in the beginning of the sentence. Okay, once the verb starts the sentence, we keep it singular. Doesn't matter if the fa'il is plural or singular or dual. Once we start with the verb, we keep the verb singular. However, it has to agree with the fa'il in gender, right? Please, I think by now everyone should be able to distinguish between the fa'il and the fa'il. Fa'il is the verb and the fa'il is the doer of the verb. So the fa'il is a noun, right? It has to be a noun or sometimes a pronoun, right? Next one, number 5. Al-mudarrisuna kharaju min al-fusul. The teachers came out of the classrooms, right? So we change it around, we say kharaja المدرسون من الفصل. زملائي رجعوا من مكة. رجع زملائي من مكة. أخواتي غسلن القمصان. غسل أخواتي القمصان. التجار فتحوا الدكاكين. فتح التجار الدكاكين. الطبيبات ذهبن إلى المستشفى. ذهبت الطبيبات إلى المستشفى. الطلاب فهموا الدرس. فهم الطلاب الدرس. Right? Pretty straightforward. Anybody has any questions? All right, so it's 7 o'clock now. I would have gone through these other exercises last week. I think I recapped some of the major concepts of this lesson. Now, this next lesson, we're going to start now, inshallah, on صفحة 36. صفحة 36, page 36. Page 36. الدرس السادس. الدرس السادس. Right, remember the ordinal number for 6 is sadis. All right, sixth. Now this lesson goes into some of the numbers between 11 and 20, but using a feminine ma'dud. Right, so we did before the numbers between 11 and 20, counting masculine or masculine objects. All right, we said in Arabic there are only 2 genders, masculine and feminine. So what we did before was when we are counting masculine objects. Now in this lesson we're going to see how we count from 11 to 20 when we are counting feminine objects. All right, basically it's the same concept, and remember we said that we would have certain things to look out for, right? So we would go into that a little bit later. Also, we're dealing with the question ayu, ayi, or ayya, right? So, this means which, right? And a few other minor concepts. So these are the major things we're dealing with in this passage here. All right. So, as usual, I'm going to read it first, inshallah. It's a little bit long, so I might do a piece of it, or I might do the whole thing, and then we'll go through it, inshallah. Right. So, page 36, صفحة 36. الدرس السادس. الدرس السادس. So, to begin, please follow in your books. Please follow in your books and listen carefully, all right? And then after you all will say it after me. But first, just listen and follow. الدرس السادس. الأم. متى رجعت من المدرسة يا بني؟ سعيد. رجعت قبل نصف ساعة. رجعت قبل نصف ساعة. الأم. أين أختك مريم؟ أما رجعت؟ سعيد. لا أدري. أنا ما رأيتها. أنا ما رأيتها. الأم. ماذا قرأت اليوم؟ ماذا قرأت اليوم؟ سعيد. قرأت اليوم درسا جديدا في الفقه. قرأت اليوم درسا جديدا في الفقه. الأم. أفهمته؟ الأم. أفهمته؟ سعيد. نعم فهمته جيدا. نعم فهمته جيدا. الأم. أما قرأت القرآن اليوم؟ الأم. أما قرأت القرآن اليوم؟ أما قرأت القرآن اليوم؟ سعيد. بلى. قرأت سورة الرحمن وحفظتها ففرح بي المدرس كثيرا. ففرح بي المدرس كثيرا وقال إنك أحسن طالب في الفصل. Right? Let's take that piece again. سعيد. بلى. قرأت سورة الرحمن وحفظتها وفرح بي المدرس كثيرا. وفرح بي المدرس كثيرا وقال إنك أحسن طالب في الفصل. إنك أحسن طالب في الفصل. الأم. ما شاء الله زادك الله علما يا بني. ما شاء الله زادك الله علما يا بني. سعيد. أغسلت قمصاني يا أمي؟ أغسلت قمصاني يا أمي؟ الأم. نعم غسلتها نعم غسلتها وقويتها. خذ هذا القميص. خذ هذا القميص. الأم, again, repeating that line again. الأم نعم غسلتها وكويتها. خذ هذا القمصان. خذ هذا القميص. سعيد. 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 هاتي ذاك يا أمي. ذاك أجمل من هذا. ذاك أجمل من هذا. Next page. تدخل المريم. تدخل المريم. Alright, so I will break up this into two because it's a long passage, right? So we'll stop at the end of the first page. I want to go through a few things here. So before we go through it, I want to read it again and you all read after me. Alright? الدرس السادس. الدرس السادس. الأم متى رجعت من المدرسة يا بني؟ متى رجعت من المدرسة يا بني؟ سعيد. رجعت قبل نصف ساعة. سعيد. رجعت قبل نصف ساعة. الأم أين أختك مريم؟ أين أختك مريم؟ أما رجعت؟ أما رجعت؟ سعيد. لا أدري. لا أدري. أنا ما رأيتها.
أنا رأيتها.
لا أدري. أنا ما رأيتها. الأم
الأم
ماذا قرأت اليوم؟
ماذا قرأت اليوم؟
ماذا قرأت اليوم؟
ماذا قرأت اليوم؟
سعيد.
سعيد.
قرأت اليوم.
قرأت اليوم.
قرأت اليوم درسا جديدا.
درسا جديدا.
قرأت اليوم.
قرأت
قرأت اليوم. قرأت اليوم درسا جديدا.
اليوم درسا جديدا
في الفقه. الأم
الأم
أفهمته. أفهمته.
أفهمته.
سعيد.
سعيد.
نعم.
نعم.
فهمته جيدا.
فهمته جيدا.
نعم.
نعم.
فهمته جيدا.
فهمته جيدا.
الأم
الأم
أما قرأت القرآن اليوم؟
قرأت القرآن اليوم.
أما قرأت القرآن؟
أمام قرأت
القرآن اليوم أما قرأت
القرآن اليوم
أما قرأت القرآن اليوم
أمام قرأت القرآن اليوم.
Next part. سعيد بلى قرأت
سعيد
سورة الرحمن
سورة الرحمن
فحفظتها
حفظتها
ففرح بي المدرس كثيرا وقال
وقال
إنك أحسن طالب في الفصل. Read that again. سعيد بلى قرأت سورة الرحمن
الرحمن
فحفظتها
حفظتها
ففرح بي المدرس
فرياد
كثيرا
كثيرا
ففرح بي المدرس
فرح
كثيرا.
بالمدرس كثيرا.
Next line. وقال إنك
وقال إنك
أحسن طالب
أحسن طالب
في الفصل.
في الفصل.
Line.
نعم.
الأم
الأم
ما شاء الله
ما شاء الله
زادك الله
بارك الله
علما يا بني.
علما يا بني.
سعيد
سعيدا سعيدا
أرسلت
أرسلت
وصاني
لساني
يا أمي.
يا أمي.
غسلت قمصاني يا أمي.
أرسلت سمطاني يا أمي.
الأم
الأم
نعم
نعم
غسلتها
غسلتها
وكويتها.
وقويتها.
خذ هذا القميص.
هذا القميص.
سعيد
سعيدا
هاتي ذاك يا أمي. ذاك أجمل
أجمل
من هذا.
من هذا.
Alright, so inshallah, next week, inshallah, we will read this passage again. But what I want to do now is we're going to go through it line by line and we're going to look at some of the new words. There's a few new words here. Some of the concepts we met in the previous chapters. We see some of them here. And then we have one or two new things being introduced here. So we're going to go through it line by line. Okay? Next week, inshallah, when we go through it again, we will take a few notes on it, but we just want to go through it line by line so we can understand the meaning of this passage. Right? And I'll just mention some of the grammatical notes on it. some of the grammatical parts, right? Adarsu Sadisu, the sixth lesson. Adarsu Sadisu, the sixth lesson, right? So the first line is a conversation between the mother and a mother and a son, right? A mother and a son. So the son's name is Sa'id, and the mother is Al-Um, of course, right? So the mother asks, Mata. You have met this word in book one, Mata. Mata means when. When, the question, right? Mata raja'ta. So again, we have a verb here where we are conjugating it using anta, or we conjugating it to the singular masculine second person, right? So you would say anta raja'ta, right? Anta katabta, anta fahimta, anta sharibta. Okay? Anta meaning you, masculine singular. Right? If you're saying I, we will say raja'tu, fahimtu. So you say ana raja'tu, ana fahimtu, ana sharibtu, right? Ana katabtu, and so on, right? So we use it tu, the dhamma there, right? So the mother is asking, when did you return? Remember, we dealing with all the verbs so far we are dealing with is past tense verbs, past tense, right? So the mother is asking him, when did you return? Right? Min al madrasa, from school. So when did you return from school? Ya bunayya. Ya bunayya. Right? So there we have the word bunayya, which is a derivative from the word bani, or rather ibn, a derivative from the word ibn. Right? So there's a particular tool or construction that we can use, right, to make something the small version of something else, right? So you have a particular noun, and you can fit that noun into a particular pattern to make it the small version of that, right? So, for example, kitab is a book. Kitab is a book. So we say kutaib is a small book, right? Kalb is a dog. Kulaib is a puppy, a small dog, right? So you have Ibn is a son or son. You have Bunai, my small son, right? So here the mother is saying, speaking to Saeed, and it might be a small boy or it might be a big boy, but mothers, they refer to their children as, in a manner that is always the child, right? Is always in a childlike manner. Whether it's a big man or a big woman, refer to them as my child, right? My son, my small daughter, and so on, right? So Saeed is speaking to his mother, right? So his mother said, when did you return from school? Right? Clearly, he's still small because he's going to school still, right? So when did you return from school, oh my small son? So Saeed responds and he says, Raja'tu. So this is important here, right? I want us not to mix up this. We have to be very clear. Raja'ta is you return. Raja'tu is I return. Right? Raja'ta, Raja'tu. When did you return? I returned. Right? So the mother is asking, when did you return? Saeed respond, I returned. Raja'tu. Raja'tu qabla nisfi sa'a. Qabla means before. Nisfi means half. Half. Right? And of course, sa'atun means an hour. So before half an hour. So he returned before half an hour. So in Arabic, when we say qabla nisfi sa'a, literally it means before half an hour. In English, we wouldn't say before half an hour, we would say half an hour ago. Half an hour ago, right? So if you say, um, when for Hajj and they come back and you see them after a while, they say, okay, when did you come back? Rajatu qabla usbu'ain. I returned before 2 weeks, right? But in English, we would say, I returned 2 weeks ago, all right? Returned 2 weeks ago. So this construction here, please remember this. We'll meet it later on, but this is how we talk about things in the past, right? Before 2 weeks means 2 weeks ago. Before half an hour means half an hour ago, all right? So Saeed says, I returned half an hour ago, right? Next line, Al-Um, Aina ukhtuka, Maryam. Where is your sister, Maryam? Ama raja'at. Right, so what is asking, where is your sister, Maryam? Right? So here you have the question being asked, Aina. Then you have Ukh. Ukhtu is sister. Ka is your, right? Your. The attached pronoun meaning your, right? So Aina ukhtuka, where is your sister? And what's the sister's name? Maryam. Okay? And then mother continues, Ama raja'at. So the question is asked, So once you see that Hamza on the Aleph, you know what question is being asked. Okay? So this is what we put in front of our statement or our nominal sentence to change it into a question. So if you remove the Hamza and the Aleph here, and we just take from ma raja'at, right? Ma raja'at. This is a statement, all right? Ma raja'at, the statement. What does that mean? You have the verb raja'a means to return, and if you're talking about feminine, you would say raja'at with ta with sukun at the end, all right? So already in these 3 lines, we see 3 forms of conjugation of the verb raja'a. Raja'ta, you return. Raja'tu, I return. And raja'at, she returned. You see that? You masculine, singular. I singular. And she, third person, singular. Alright? So raja'ta, you return. Raja'tu, I return. And raja'at, she returned. So we have a verb past tense. In order to negate the verb, meaning it didn't happen, we add the name with aleph before it, ma. So this ma here is ma and nihaya. It negates what comes after it, right? Sorry, ma and nafia. It negates what comes after it, right? So that statement, ma raja'at, means she did not return, right? She did not return. It's a statement. I said if I put the Hamza with the Aleph in front of that statement, which is what the mother is saying here, so she says what? Ma raja'at. Ma raja'at. Right? So here now we have a question. Statement before was what? Ma raja'at. She did not return. But the mother is asking the question. So she put the Hamza in front of it. Hamza and the Aleph. Ma raja'at. Did she not return? Right? Did she not return. So it's a question, right? So Sa'id is saying, La adri. La adri. I do not know. La adri means I do not know. Then he says, Ana ma ra'aytuha. Ana ma ra'aytuha. So here we have another past tense verb. Ra'a means to see, or he saw, Ra'a. So then, if we have Raja'a, means to return, and we say I return, we say Raja'tu. Raja'a means to return, I return, we say Raja'tu. Ra'a means to see, or he saw, Ra'aytu. Ra'aytu, I saw, I saw, right? What did he see? Ra'aytu ha, she or her. I saw her. I saw her. Right? Now we're negating that by putting the ma in front of it. Ma ra'aytuha. I did not see her. Right? Ana ma ra'aytuha. I did not see her. Any questions so far? So we see in here how the ma is put in front of the past tense verb. Please pay attention to this, eh? Past tense verb so far to negate that verb. Next line. الأم ماذا قرأت اليوم؟ ماذا. So ماذا is means what, right? ماذا تفعل؟ ماذا تفعل? What did you do? ماذا قرأت؟ ماذا قرأت اليوم? What did you read today? اليوم means today, right? يوم means a day. اليوم means today, right? So the al-yawm, right? In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, al-yawm, today, right? So al-yawm means today. ماذا قرأت اليوم? What did you read today? What did you read today? Sa'id is replying, قرأت. Right, so we're not seeing the Dhamma here. We're not seeing a Dhamma above the Ta here, but we know it has to be two because Sa'id is speaking about what he did that day. Right, so he said, قرأت. I read. I read. Al-yawma, today. Darsan jadidan. Darsan jadidan. I read today a new lesson. I read today a new lesson. Fil fiqh, in fiqh. Right, you know, fiqh, in terms of the jurisprudence, laws of Islam and so on, the Sharia. So he read a new lesson in fiqh. Right? Go over that line again. Sa'idun qara'tu al-yawma darsan jadidan. A new lesson. Notice here, the word dars doesn't have any alif lam. No alif lam. It has a tanween fatha at the end, right? So when we have some tanween, we generally know that that indicates the word is indefinite. Indefinite, right? So in English, we would say a lesson, an ed, and so on, right? We use the indefinite particle a or an in English. Here we use the tanween. So when you say darasan, it means it's indefinite. Jadidan is the adjective, right? So a lesson, a new lesson. So he's telling his mother he read a new lesson in fiqh, right? His mother said, Afahimta Who? Afahimtahu. Did you understand it? Right? So the question here is Now it's asking a question again. Right? You normally when children go to school and come back, the mother is asking questions, right? Maybe the mother, right? Many questions. So here, mother is asking, do you understand? Do you understand it? Did you understand the lesson? Afahimtu, asfahimtahu. Why is it afahimtahu and not afahimtuhu? You know what you tell me that?
Leave them inside the room, you know. Leave them here. Every time they come here, them run out and go with the one. Leave them here. Now it's night, baby. You're gonna stay in the other room. The mom finishes it.
Everybody knows why it's afahimtahu and not afahimtuhu. All right, so here the teacher we said fahimta means you understood. Fahimtu, I understood. Right? Yes? Raja'ta, you return. Raja'tu, I return. So the mother is asking Sa'id if he understood the lesson. So the mother will say, Afahimta, did you understand? Afahimtu, Afahimtum, Afahimtum, do you all understand? Afahimtum? So here the mother will say, Afahimta, did you understand? Who? The who here means it, meaning the lesson. Right? The lesson in fifth. So Sa'id is saying, Na'am, yes, fahimtuhu. So here you would say, fahimtuhu. Jayidan means very well or good. Right? So Sa'id says, Na'am, fahimtuhu jayidan. So I want you all to say that after me, right? Al Afahimtahu. Afahimtahu. Said. Naam, fahimtuhu. Jayyidan. Again. Al-ummu. Afahimtahu. Naam, fahimtuhu. Jayyidan. Anybody have any problem with that? So this fatah of the ta or the dhamma of the ta changes the meaning drastically. So we have to be very careful, right? Al أما قرأت القرآن اليوم. So the mother is asking another question. ما قرأت. قرأ means to read. قرأت, you read. قرأت, you read. Right? So ما قرأت means you did not read. Yeah? You did not read. Ma negates the verb, as I said before. Ma qara'ta. You did not read. Now she's asking a question, so we started with the Hamza. Ma qara'ta. Did you not read Al-Quran al-Yawma? The Quran today? Did you not read the Quran today? Right? You know in Chirango Maktab? Trinidad here in Chirango Maktab. The parent asks the child, what you do in Maktab today? You didn't get to read today? What are you doing Maktab? You take on a new lesson. You didn't get to read Quran, you know. So here the mother is asking the child, Ama qara'ta al-Quran al-yawma? Did you not read Quran today? Now notice this. Here now the question he asks, or she asked is a negative question. Remember, when you have a negative question, when you say Alaysa kadalik, is that not so? Ama qara'ta al-Quran. Did you not read Quran today? Is a negative question. Right? In order to reply in the affirmative, we say Bala. Yes. If we reply and we say Na'am, we are saying no. Meaning we are agreeing with the negative statement. I did not read Quran. Okay? So if he did read Quran, he said Bala. So that's how you reply here. Right? Bala. Qara'tu Surat al-Rahmani. I read Surah Ar-Rahman. You know Surah Ar-Rahman, chapter number 55 of the Quran. Right? Surah Ar-Rahman. So he said, Na'am, I'm sorry, Bala qara'tu Surat Ar-Rahmani. I read Surah Rahman. Okay? وحفظتها and I memorized it. وحفظتها and I memorized it. Right? ففرح بي المدرس كثيرا. And so the teacher was very happy with me. Kathiran means plenty, right? Al-Mudarris is the teacher, right? So we say فَفَرِحَ, and so he was happy, biya, with me, Al-Mudarris. So the teacher was happy, was very happy with me, right? In this case, we have fariha is the verb, and in this case, the doer of the verb is the mudarris. The mudarris, right? So we say فَفَرِحَ الْمُدَرِّسُ biya. But the B means with, as in Bismillah, with the name of Allah, Billahi, with Allah, or uh, Bismillah, with the name of Allah, right? So here B and Ya is Ya al-Mutakallim, is the person speaking, right? With me, with me. So the teacher was very happy with me, right? Next line, the teacher said, وَقَالَ, and he said, wa, and qala, he said, right? Innaka, verily you, ahsanu talibin, is the best student, ahsanu talibin, right? Fil fasli, ahsanu talibin. Remember we did a couple, 2 or 3 chapters ago, we did ismu tafdil, which is the relative, sorry, not relative, comparative or the superlative, right? In English, we have comparative and superlative. And we said that there are certain ways to construct that in Arabic. And we have gone through that, right? Next week, inshallah, we'll refresh our memories as to that, how that works and so on, right? But basically, what Saeed is saying here is that the teacher said, that verily you are the best student, Phil, firstly in the class, right? The mother says, Ma Allahu, whatever Allah wills, Ma Allah, right? Zadaka Allahu ilman, ya bunayya. Zada means to increase, right? So she's making a dua here. Zadaka Allahu, may Allah increase you, ilman, right? May Allah increase you in terms of your ilm, right? May Allah increase you in terms of your ilm. Ya bunayya, O my small son. Next line, Sa'idun, aghasalti khumsani ya ummi. Did you wash my shirts, Ya Ummi, O my mother. The mother says, Na'am, yes. غسلتها, I washed them. وَقَوَيْتُهَا, and I ironed them. Okay? So the mother said, yes, I washed them and I ironed them. The pronoun we're using here is the ha is singular feminine, but we saying or translating it as them because we're referring to plural of inanimate or ghayru aqil, which is the shirts, kumsan. Alright? So we say in ha, singular feminine. So the mother said, Naam, غسلتها وكويتها خذ هذا القميص. Take this shirt. So the mother said, I washed them and I ironed them. Take this shirt. And she gave him a shirt. Sa'id said, Hati dhaka ya ummi. Hati means bring, right? Or give me. Dhaka ya ummi. Give me that one. Or that. Ya ummi. O my mother. Dhaka ajmalu min hada. That one is more beautiful than this one, right? Or I don't know what it is for shit. It's more beautiful or nicer or more prettier. I don't know, more pretty, right? So that one is better looking or more beautiful than this one, right? So that's what he said there in the end. So we'll stop here today, inshallah. This is half of the lesson, or the lesson, half the lesson. Next week, inshallah, we'll go over this again, and we'll take the next half of the lesson, inshallah ta'ala. Any quick questions? It's already 7:46, and we're going to close off here now, inshallah ta'ala. All right, Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah bless you all. And inshallah, we'll see you all next week. We will do the next half, recap this half, and take the next half, inshallah ta'ala. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات تواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جزاكم الله خيرا